Now joining us from The Australian is Richard Ferguson, political reporter.
Hello.
Now, Richard, what do you make of this push about whether volunteers should be allowed to have any kind of political opinions? This has been an increasingly political issue. The bushfires, what caused them, what caused it to be so intense, and what the government's response was.
Well, I think that the Prime Minister was right in saying that, he shouldn't have been sacked. If he has been sacked, now obviously the Rural Fire Service is saying that he's not been sacked. So the situation is still pretty unclear on the ground. But, I mean, it's obvious that the Prime Minister cannot go anywhere without being asked about the dreadful summer that he's had, and that he still will have a lot of work to fix that with the electorate. Now, look, he's in a very lucky position. He does not have to face the electorate for another 2 years. Who knows what the main issues will be by then? It may be that we don't have the same sort of bushfires that we had in the next 2 summers. I don't think he'll ever make the mistake of going to Hawaii during something like that again. But, he is a bruised leader. His honeymoon is very much over. And he can't escape, really, the question of this. But, when you look at the Labour Party and its divisions, it's not a rosy picture on all sides. But he is not the leader that he was even 3 months ago.
You've been delving a lot into the coronavirus and impacts on Australia. Have you been intrigued by the sort of pace, for example? We knew what was happening on this cruise ship quite some time ago. Only now is the rescue plan being launched, or are the logistics pretty hard here? Well,
you see, the number one problem is that logistics are pretty hard. So the main reason that the Prime Minister cannot sign off on an evacuation mission yet is because our Australian expert, Paul Armstrong, hasn't got onto the Diamond Princess yet. So the minute he's on it and can make an assessment, that's when we start. And there is the logistics. I mean, as the Prime Minister has now ruled out, after speculation about which way they would go, is that these people will not be sent to Christmas Island. Now, that's pretty important because the Wuhan evacuees were all pretty young. There was a lot of children, a lot of young mums. These passengers, we understand, are very elderly and also very sick. So there are not the hospital facilities in Christmas Island for them that there were for the pretty healthy Wuhan contingent. The contingent here will need hospitals, and therefore they're very likely to go to Darwin.
One of the really interesting aspects too has been the impact on the education sector. We have this huge cohort of Chinese students who would be here, except for the travel ban, and other comparable countries like Canada haven't done the same thing.
Exactly, and we, Tim Dodd and I, did a story at The Australian last week, which a major survey of prospective Chinese students who are waiting to come here to start their first semester, that almost a third of new Chinese students will just abandon Australia if the delays continue. So, that is that would be devastating for the Australian university sector. Remember, international education is our third biggest export. So it would be very damaging. There's a lot of problems. Now, the Prime Minister has said there's still 4 to 6 weeks until kind of semester really rolls in. So they've still got some time on this. And of course, the travel ban is being reviewed weekly. So they have a chance to save this, and they're offering support to the sector. But it's been a very rugged time for international.
The worry is that they go elsewhere and they don't come back, of course, and you lose a whole cohort through years 1, 2, 3, whatever it might be. Just finally, backpackers are apparently going to help rebuild Australia from the bushfires.
Yes.
What do we know about this? I mean, do they have the expertise? Are they having to volunteer to extend their visa?
So it seems to be mainly volunteer work, but I think that's a bit clearer.
Because they usually need the money to keep backpacking.
But of course, you see, one of the problems has been, and this is what Blaze Aid, where the charity which helped to spring this decision, has been telling us, is that backpackers have been coming to them because basically they're going up and down the coast looking for jobs, and they're not getting anything because of the drought and because of the bushfires. So they go there, they go to the farmers, and then they get work from that. And then, there's paid work involved as well elsewhere. So a lot of backpackers are very keen on this. A lot of backpackers are going. I spoke to several yesterday who are going to bushfire-affected communities, putting up fences, tying up sheds, and often saying that the local people there are pleased to have them because not only for the help, but also because they're outsiders. There's none of this kind of political negativity that's going around them, so they kind of feel that they can talk to them, that they're a bit of a relief. So, but anything to do with backpackers is controversial in Australia. Anything about using temporary workers to do anything is controversial in Australia, and it'll be interesting to see how this goes down in the community. But it's a pretty big move.
Going to need a lot of backpackers, aren't we?
Exactly, exactly.
Richard Ferguson from The Australian, thank you.
Thank you.